Well, you can just become a kid again. If you're in China, that is. Meet China's full-time children. Let's cross now live to founder and executive director of Signal, Carice Witte, joining us. A band-aid on a bleeding society there. So what does it mean to be an adult full-time child, Carice? Is it a desirable path or a no other choice kind of a path?
Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon with China turning out over 11 million new college graduates every year for the past few years. I mean, they've raised the number of college graduates from 3 million 15 years ago now to 11 million. So as there was tough unemployment numbers before the end of the COVID-0 lockdown policy, now we've seen another 22 million youth enter into the market, and they're well educated. They're taking menial jobs. They are frustrated. There's a phenomenon called lying flat. Lying flat means not compete, can't manage anyway, can't get ahead, will not be able to surpass my parents as my parents were promised when they were kids. And so what's my choice? And many of them are giving up the Chinese dream for just peace and quiet. And if that means that they can help their parents by living at home, which many of them have to do anyway because they are getting salaries that they can't live on. So now the parents who have only one child are helping the child, and the child is helping them. You know, many have asked, who's going to take care of the parents when they get older? Well, maybe it's going to be the parents funding the children in order to deal with this incredibly terrible unemployment.
So, Carice, with the lack of a better phrasing, I want to say, welcome to the club. To me, it sounds like Chinese youngsters are facing, quote unquote, Western problems, thinking the world is their oyster, graduating, and then, poof, reality hits and no one's waiting for you. A very, again, first world problem, so to speak.
You can say that, but at the same time, this is very policy driven. In 2021, the leadership took decisions that made employment for the youth even more difficult. For example, after-school education was a multi-billion-dollar business which employed hundreds of thousands of young people, teaching all kinds of courses in all kinds of ways to kids across the country. And that was made totally illegal, and all of those businesses were shut down. So if you add that on to the policy changes for real estate that caused a deep setback in real estate, and policy that was taken towards the internet platform companies, which also were a big source of hiring, this was almost a self-made problem, and it adds on to the existing demographic problem that China has with fewer and fewer children. Now, when you're lying flat, you don't want to get married and have kids, not even that one child. So it is adding insult to injury.
So obviously, we can't have the test in the ballots when it comes to China, but is the administration going to address this economic, but perhaps more so, or not less so, at least social problem?
Well, they are addressing it in their own way. President Xi Jinping has said that it's very important to work hard and to contribute to society. These statements usually have a great deal of impact. Whether or not they'll make a difference is a question. The government is taking the economic situation, the problems that are rife, not only with youth, but across the economy overall. The economy is slowing, and so they're looking at a variety of policies. They had put out a very important document in that it was from the top bodies of China's leadership saying they support the private sector in order to encourage investment in the private sector, encourage foreign FDI, foreign direct investment. How much effect this is having so far, it's been limited, to say the least. There's a big trust deficit. There's a trust deficit among foreigners in towards China and among Chinese people. They're not spending enough money. China wants to create a consumer market and not be so dependent on exports, but the Chinese people are saving. They are worried that the social net is not out there, and they're going to have to take care of themselves. And when we look at this phenomenon that you raised with respect to being a paid child,
Yeah.
you can see that that social net just isn't there.
Yeah, and perhaps the role of a child should be done without getting paid, but this is perhaps a more, value or moral-driven conversation for another time. Founder and Executive Director for Signal, Carice Witte, thank you very much for this. We appreciate your insight as per usual.